Globalisation. The lowering of trade and political barriers, as well as the incredible technical advances of the digital revolution, has made it possible to do business and communicate nearly instantaneously with millions around the globe. The term globalization may be defined as the interdependence of economies globally that results from the growing volume and variety of international transactions in goods, services, and capital, and also from the spread of new technology. Import and export participants. Let us understand the key participants in the import and export. The exporter is a seller of the cargo. The importer is the exporter's customer who buys the cargo and is sometimes responsible to pay the import duties at customs. The freight forwarder is a contractor who is responsible for receiving the goods sent to the importer and also arranges transportation for the exporter's cargo. The NVOC, or Non-Vessel Operating Common Carrier, is an ocean carrier that transports goods under its own house bill of lading, or equivalent documentation, without operating ocean transportation vessels. The consolidator is a firm that consolidates shipments to load into empty vessels for return trips from the importer's dock to port. The customs house broker moves a shipment through customs expeditiously and ensures its complete documentation. The EMC or ETC company consults with the exporter on the import market, or that buys cargo and resells it to the importer. A shipping association is a non-profit association of smaller shippers who are banded together to negotiate better rates from carriers. A ship broker is an independent contractor who brings together the exporter with a ship operator that has a vessel available with the right services at the right time. A ship agent is a representative of a ship operator and available to coordinate import activities for the shipper with cargo to export. The export specialist company is specialist in packaging cargo for export so as to combine the lightest practical weight with the maximum protection.
AIMS is a globally recognized and an accredited institution. We offer certifications, diploma, MBA, and PhD programs in supply chain and logistics management through an online and self-paced learning system. For registration and details, please visit www.aims.education.
Import and export mechanism. The exhibit illustrates the paths that cargo might travel to get from an exporter to an importer. This journey is aided by a full complement of intermediaries. International commerce takes place between an exporter and an importer. After agreeing to the terms of sale, the importer goes to its bank and gets a letter of credit. The importer's bank notifies the exporter's bank that the letter of credit has been issued. The exporter gets access to current information about local customs and government regulations. The exporter then packages the goods, processes the documents and insurance, and ships the goods through train, truck, or air carrier to the outgoing port. The freight forwarder firm prepares and presents the documents and arranges transportation for commercial cargo. Ship brokers and ship agents assist the exporters with the details of arranging ocean transport. Export packing companies provide the specialized packaging services required for the cargo. The ship operator or air carrier takes the cargo from the domestic ports to the foreign port. Customs house brokers of the foreign port assist importers by shepherding shipments through customs. Non-Vessel Operating Common Carriers or NVOCs handles only the part of the shipment traveling from a port to the importer's dock or from an exporter's dock to a port. The consolidator provides services to fill containers for intermodal shipment, such as turnarounds carrying cargo between an inland warehouse and a port. A foreign carrier is used by a carrier in making references to all other carriers collectively. And finally, the importer receives the goods at its storehouse. Risks in cross-border transactions. There are two types of risks in cross-border transactions. They are counterparty risk and currency exchange risk. Letter of credit versus commercial letter of credit. Through the letter of credit, the bank assures to the seller that the buyer is good for the purchase price of the goods, and that the bank will therefore honor the buyer's check up to that amount. The importer requests and obtains a commercial letter of credit from its bank. This letter guarantees that the importer has a good credit standing and that the importer's bank will honor a draft when issued by the importer to the exporter. Mechanism of letter of credit. One possible sequence of events is as follows. Suppose that B importer is a London-based company and requests a letter of credit from a UK bank. The UK bank grants the letter of credit based on the B importer's credit standing. Z importer is based in New York and is working through a US bank that requests to verify that B importer's UK bank is trustworthy. On confirmation from the bank, the Z exporter ships the goods to London. Z exporter also issues a draft against the US bank and gets paid for the exported goods. Z importer's US bank sends the draft to the B importer's UK bank. The B importer's UK bank pays the amount to the Z exporter's US bank. And finally, the B importer's UK bank receives the money from the B importer at the arrival and receipt of goods. Harmonized Tariff Schedule, or HTS. The Harmonized System Classification Codes are also called the Harmonized Tariff Schedule. It uses number systems to classify and describe the goods. The importer pays the import duty, but the exporter labels the goods using Harmonized Tariff Schedule. Harmonized Tariff Schedule is administered by World Customs Organization in Brussels. Each export item has a 6-digit identifier, expandable by countries up to 10 digits. It's required for businesses selling merchandise internationally. Free Trade Zone. It's also known as a Foreign Trade Zone or Export Processing Zone. It's a geographic area in a country in which some normal trade barriers such as tariffs and quotas are eliminated, and bureaucratic requirements are lowered in hopes of attracting new business and foreign investments. Importers and manufacturers get benefits from the free trade zones in the following ways. Exemption from customs formalities, duties or quotas, exemption from duties or quotas on re-exports, deferral of duties on imports, avoidance of fines, reduction of import duties on some cargoes, inspection of merchandise before paying duties, avoidance of quota problems, indefinite cost-effective storage, and manufacture and assembly without inverted duties. When the duty on imported components is higher than the duty on the finished product, it is called an inverted duty. To avoid paying an inverted duty, domestic manufacturers usually bring low-price production materials into free trade zones and process them into a finished product for export. Trading bloc. A trading bloc is a preferential trade agreement between a group of countries designed to reduce or remove trade barriers between its members. Few types of trading blocs are given here. Free trade areas or zones. Preferential trade agreements allow their member countries to have preferential access to certain products from other member countries. Customs unions, made up of free trade areas with common external staff. Common markets. The free trade areas in which physical, technical, and fiscal barriers are reduced as much as possible. Economic unions. Combination of common market and customs union. Customs and monetary unions, made up of customs and currency unions, and they share the same external trade policy and currency. And economic and monetary unions, combination of common market, customs union, and monetary union. Export packaging concerns. Packing and labeling for export presents special problems. Packaging for a foreign buyer requires consideration of several issues, which includes the following. Will the packaged cargo survive a rough ride? Are perishables properly insulated and cushioned? Is it light enough for a lower duty rate? Does the packaging meet customs requirements? Are all labels, instructions, and warnings, etc. in place? Can containers be loaded onto multiple modes? And can the packaging be reused or recycled? Import considerations. Regarding the concerns of importers, the following are important. Classifying merchandise using the Harmonized Tariff Schedule, declared value and duty drawbacks, calculating import costs, import licensing and government perspectives on importing, and the World Trade Organization. We will now discuss each of them in detail. The Harmonized Tariff Schedule. It is a 6-digit code, and it identifies the descriptions of products exchanged in export-import transactions. In some countries, such as the United States, up to 4 additional digits may be assigned, creating a 10-digit code. Declared value and duty drawbacks. Once the exporter has determined the identity of the cargo through the harmonized code, the importer is responsible for declaring the value of the cargo. According to the World Trade Organization, the declared value of the cargo should ideally be the actual price paid or to be paid by the importer. Goods shipped between one company's divisions located in different countries are valued by a transfer price, which is a standard cost plus a surcharge. Duty drawback is a refund of all or part of duty paid on goods that were first imported and then re-exported. Calculating import costs. The assessment of costs due at customs varies from country to country. Calculating import duty. Import duties are generally assessed as a percentage of either the cost insurance freight or free onboard value. Free onboard value includes 2 values, the cost of the goods and the amounts paid by the exporter to transport the freight from its dock and load it on the ship. Calculating value-added tax. Value-added taxes are assessed on the cost insurance freight or free onboard value plus the import duties. Import licensing and government perspectives on importing. Governments generally look with less favour on importing than on exporting, because exports bring money into the country and imports take the money out. Governments around the world create numerous import licensing requirements, regulations, and restrictions that pose problems for local importers and foreign exporters alike. World Trade Organization. The majority of trading nations are the members of the World Trade Organization, or WTO. The main mission of WTO is to create free and fair trade around the world, which is done by eliminating many barriers against imports. The WTO also pays special attention on less developed nations by providing them better access to world markets for their exportable products. Understanding Incoterms. The Incoterms, or International Commercial Terms, are a series of predefined commercial terms published by the International Chamber of Commerce, or ICC. Incoterms rules clearly communicate the tasks, costs, and risks associated with the global or international transportation and delivery of goods. The first work published by the ICC on international trade terms was issued in 1923, and the first edition, known as Incoterms, published in 1936. The Incoterms rules were amended in 1953, 1967, 1976, 1980, 1990, 2000, 2010, and 2020. Global acceptance of Incoterms. The Incoterms rules are accepted by governments, legal authorities, and practitioners worldwide for the interpretation of the most commonly used terms in international trade. Important terms in Incoterms. There are certain terms that have special meanings within Incoterms, and here are some important ones. Delivery. The point in the transaction where the risk of loss or damage to the goods is transferred from the seller to the buyer. Arrival. The point to which carriage has been paid. Free. Seller has an obligation to deliver the goods to a named place for transfer to a carrier. Carrier. Any person or firm who, in a contract of carriage, undertakes to perform or to procure the performance of transport by rail, road, air, sea, inland waterway, or by a combination of such modes. Freight forwarder. A firm that makes or assists in the making of shipping arrangements. Terminal. Any place, whether covered or not, such as a dock, warehouse, container yard or road, rail or air cargo terminal. And to clear for export is to file the shipper's export declaration and get an export permit. Incoterms are organized into 2 groups. Number 1, rules for any mode or modes of transport, and number 2, rules for sea and inland waterway transport. We will now discuss the terms for each of them. Glocalisation. It is hard for companies to work towards meeting the particular needs and wants of different markets around the globe. So, in order to solve the problem, they started doing glocalisation of their products. Glocalisation is a hybrid term based on the words globalisation and localisation, and it may be defined as the practice of conducting business according to both local and global considerations. Here are some examples of glocalised products from international companies. McDonald's offers different menus to correspond to the tastes of the community or region. Some of its local favourites around the world include the McItaly burger in Italy, the Maharaja Mac in India, the McLobster in Canada, and the Ebi Filet-O in Japan. General Electric manufacture handheld ECG devices, which are used in rural China and India to provide improved quality, increased access, and less cost. Google visitors can also view customized content and the latest local news, entertainment, and sports from their area.